What's up, guys? What's going on? So I didn't think I'd be making you another video here in the greenhouse until I actually had the roof repaired, which is going to happen any day now. But something I noticed in my jackfruit video, I had talked about top working and just doing some pruning in here, and what I should have said was topped, because I didn't. Typically top working is when you're grafting in, but I topped my jackfruits and I pruned my mangoes, and I did just feed in here. So this video is just to kind of point out to you what we use as a feed and when we do feed our fruit trees. So another thing I noticed in my video, I pointed out that mangoes don't like nutrients, and I didn't mean that mangoes don't like nutrients. Mangoes don't like nitrogen. I've definitely noticed in many different situations, mangoes specifically not fruiting because of a high level of nitrogen, and typically that's because it's inside a highly chemicalized yard of grass, that's getting sprayed on the regular. So people are always asking me, why won't my mango fruit? It's because you're over juicing your yard. They don't like that synthetic fertilizer, but they do like, nutrients, trace minerals. So typically speaking, and something really neat I'll point out, someone just told me he used the same fertilizer as Curtis Stone, so I had to go back to that video or the link they sent me and check it out. And Curtis actually uses the same exact, I believe it's a different number, probably a little bit of a different blend, but the same brand fertilizer that we use, and that's called Sustain. So that's an organic fertilizer that's turkey based, and it has that crushed up feathers in it. It has the bone meal in it, has a turkey based manure inside of it. So I believe it's a 234, something like that, very low on the nitrogen. I'll show you that bag here in a second. Typically we will feed our trees in spring and fall. We're getting a little late right now, and we just fed these here in the greenhouse like 2 days ago, just as I was doing all that pruning, and we noticed, I need to make that video on the jackfruit. So every one of my trees, you'll see a little bit of a white, kind of see that little bit of a white on the bottom, that powdery residue. I'll show you another spot right here. Kind of get down here, you see that residue. So that is a blend. And what I like to use to feed these trees in here, and I noticed the Japoticabas really love it, is a blend of 1/3 green sand, 1/3 azomite, and 1/3 of the Sustain. That's the organic fertilizer, and I'll usually do that about twice a year, and that's really it, other than our compost tea treatments that we did. Over here in the greenhouse, yesterday or 2 days ago, when I put up that video on the fruiting jackfruit, I had pointed out maybe one of the reasons that it had fruited was because it's in a full sun situation here. That's very possible. I also thought maybe it had something to do with just topping it out. I've topped this one a couple of times now, I think 3 times compared to the one on the side of my house. So that had possibly something to induce it also. Maybe this, nitrogen fixing cover crop, the perennial peanut all over the ground had something to do with it. So, that's what we use. We use about a 2 cups, I would say, 2 small cups on each, and we'll kind of put it right around that, that really close to that root base around the top of the tree, spreading out no further than the limbs of the tree. So, I'll put it around the base, and I'll come out no further than the drip line with that fertilizer, typically speaking. So, azomite, green sand, Sustain has been a bulletproof mixture for me. Don't do a lot of feeding and fertilizing out here. I highly believe in those rock dusts and those trace minerals. Those have been kind of game changing for us, especially with the Eugenias and the Japoticabas and things like that. So I'll show you those bags real quick. Hold tight. Okay, I'm totally off. It was actually a 464 on the Sustain. So, this is that Sustain. You see it's a medium grade, OMRI listed. Had a lot of luck with this. We actually just switched to a different brand for about 2 years. It had a micronized compost tea in it. I just wasn't getting the results, especially in my nursery. I wanted to see. It would give me a quick, slight greening, but not a long-term greening like we were getting from the Sustain. And that long-term greening in those plants is very important when we're selling nursery material. Not as important on my things that are planted in the ground, but for selling nursery material, we find that to be very important. So we also use micronized azomite. And like I said, green sand. This is becoming tougher and tougher to find. This is an amendment that's also used inside of those soil blocks that Jim uses. So the green sand, I used to be able to get this from a local distributor in bulk. I believe this was a 50-pound bag. I can't find those anymore. You know, you'll still see 5-pound bags, 10-pound bags on Amazon, but it's becoming harder and harder to find. So that's my, you know, 3-part trick to fertilizing your fruit trees. Like I said, Curtis Stone's using that fertilizer, so has to be some legit stuff. I know he's getting good results with it. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share, and don't forget to pound that bell.